Madrid were able to bounce back against Kairat in the Champions League, beating them 5-0. This came after a heavy defeat a couple of days ago against Atletico Madrid. In this video, I'm going to give you a summary of this 5-0 thrashing of Kairat in the Champions League. Let's begin. Alright guys, so the first thing I actually want to address is going to be the lineup that Xabi Alonso decided to start in this game, because after such a heavy defeat against Atletico Madrid, I was curious to see what he was going to do in this game and then also the game against Villarreal, right? So in my previous video, I told you that, okay, my opinion about Bellingham starting was, it was like a bit of a surprise, I think, to a lot of us, right? And interesting enough, in this game, he opted not to start with Bellingham. Against Atletico Madrid, he started with Bellingham, you know, coming back from that injury and dropping MASTERCLASS. But then in this game against Kairat, he decided to drop Bellingham, probably after the fact that it didn't go so well against Atletico Madrid and it messed up the whole team dynamics and how we were functioning, right? So what we actually saw is that Madrid were able to kind of go back to how they were performing pre the game against Atletico Madrid, right? So yeah, Bellingham being left out of the starting lineup was interesting, and I think actually the front six was actually quite interesting as well, because with Mbappe, Vinicius and Guler up there, and then you have MASTERCLASS coming in, and then you also now have Tchouaméni and Cebellos. So funny enough, I think this is the front six that's would have been a lot more effective against Atletico Madrid. And the reason is because against Atletico Madrid, we actually weren't able to get a hold of the ball, and we could have used Cebellos, his ability to control in a deep area, and then of course Guler in the final third, right, with those key passes that we saw so many of against, especially in the first half against Kairat, right? So this front six was what I would have actually liked to see against Atletico Madrid, but we didn't. But we saw them in full flow today in this game, and the first few minutes, like 10 minutes, Kairat, they huffed and puffed, they showed their aggression, and I think Courtois kind of started off a little bit shaky with his ball control, and yeah, a few instances where he just wasn't really assured of himself with his ball control, so a little bit shaky there. Didn't want a mistake coming from him, and it didn't come. But I was like, once Madrid just get a hold of the game, once this team starts to kind of like tire a little bit from pressing so aggressively, then Madrid will be able to control the game, because we've seen this with teams in La Liga, right? So before I go a little bit more into the details of the first half, just covering the lineup again. So then we had Asensio playing as right back, and we had Fran Garcia playing left back. So it was good to see Fran Garcia starting for Real Madrid, and giving Kairat a break, you know, because he didn't also have a good game against Atletico Madrid, right? And we had Alaba coming in, playing left side of the center backs, and then Hausen moving over to the right side. So I think our defense, I think Hausen had a good game today in terms of progressive passes and everything, as he does in these games. Also another player, but really, really everybody against Atletico Madrid did not perform. But we saw Madrid now in this game against Kairat bouncing back. So I think the lineup overall was quite interesting coming from Xabi Alonso. And the other thing as well is actually going to be Rodrygo not starting, because we saw him starting in the first Champions League, and I thought he would start in this game, but he didn't, you know. And at this point, I would like to see Rodrygo now being a lot more involved in the games, because I don't think, I think it's been too long now that we're not getting the best out of Vinicius Jr. And even though in this game, first half, in terms of off the ball runs, he was good, but everything else, he was poor once again, right? But yeah, so that was the lineup that Xabi Alonso started. And then now the game itself, the first 10 minutes, Madrid, I was just like, okay, just don't concede a goal, keep defending like you're doing. They're coming aggressive at you now, but after a bit they'll get tired, and then we'll be able to control the game. And that's exactly what happened. And the reason why I'm saying that Cebellos would have been really effective against Atletico Madrid, because you saw it in this game. This season, the 3 games that Cebellos has started and been involved throughout the game, he's been excellent, absolutely excellent, you know. And I think in this game he had an amazing game, you know, man of the match performance, but I'll give that to Mbappe. He deserved it today. And then Guler, and then Cebellos come in third, right? So Cebellos, in that deep position, he offers us something that other midfielders just do not, right? Control in our half, and able to build up from the back, right? So we actually saw him centrally, and we saw him also operating at the left channel as well. Those are the main positions, and Madrid as well always attack in those left channels, and then a little bit more now centrally as well. So it was nice to see him and how he was able to keep the ball playing and playing forward, and then also looking for Guler, right? So it was a nice combination of Cebellos to either Guler, and then Guler would find Vinicius Jr. or Mbappe with their runs, or actually it would be, for example, Cebellos over to Mbappe, and then Mbappe then passing it on to the runners of Guler and Vinicius Jr. So I thought Cebellos had an amazing game again, and this is the 3rd time this season. And I know that in games against the top teams like Atletico Madrid and Barcelona coming up, that it might be a little bit risky, like to rely on Cebellos. But I think so far this season, like what he's proved is that like he can actually give us what we crave at this current moment, right? So that ball playing that ball playing central midfielder. So that's Cebellos helping us control the game. And then now I think when it came like to actually just linking our forward play, it was so beautiful today, because I think Mbappe had one of his best games this season. And I think the last 2 games, so against Atletico Madrid and against Levante, for me, Mbappe played poorly, right? So against Levante, Mbappe scored 2 goals, you know. And the thing is, yes, he's still been able to score goals. Mbappe is able to score goals even if he's playing poorly, even if he's not doing any aerial duels, even if he's not involving other teammates and whatever. He's able to score goals, right? That's an amazing thing that he can do. But I really feel that the Mbappe we've gotten in majority of games this season has been far superior than the last season, far superior. But the games against Atletico Madrid, against Levante, and I think against Espanyol, I think it was mainly those 2 games, we saw a more selfish Mbappe, right? An Mbappe who is not linking up with the rest of his team well, who's not linking up with Vinicius, who's not linking up with the rest of the attacking players coming in and wanting to score and wanting to be the main man, right? So we know now Mbappe this season is the main man, and the thing is, I put a lot of responsibility on him as the main man, because 1, he needs to score the goals, but then 2, he also needs to provide assists and key passes to the rest of our forward line, right? So in that first half, I think Mbappe had an amazing game, right? In terms of his link-up play, like whether it was Mbappe or whether it was Guler, like in that kind of false 9 position, because we were leaving like 3 players up front, you know, after the first 10 minutes, let's say maybe 15 minutes, we were leaving 3 players up front and confident enough to defend with 7 players, right? In those transitional phases when we lost the ball and we're tracking back. So what this meant was that when we won the ball, we were able then to do a quick transition and go into a counter attack. And this would have either Guler being in that false 9 position, you know, close to the center circle, dropping back, or it would be Mbappe. And then from there, they would then pass on quickly to the runners, right? So I thought Mbappe did that excellently today, right? Because some of the balls are coming in, it was like just one pass straight to Guler and straight to Vinicius, right? So we saw Mbappe doing some beautiful passes to Vinicius Jr. I think it was maybe like our first or second like good chance that we had, and then Vinicius was running onto goal, and then yeah, just a poor finish from Vinicius Jr. You know, it goes completely wide. And then later on, Mbappe, he did a beautiful pass to Guler. He also did a beautiful lob pass to Ono in the box as well, and some beautiful touches in the air. So yes, Kairat weren't the most competitive team this game, to be honest. I saw that maybe after like 35 minutes. I was like, physically, they're not as fit as Madrid. Like, they look exhausted already after 35 minutes. And then really, there were no threats throughout the entire game. The only time they were a threat was the first 10 minutes when, yeah, they're just really being aggressive. And then, yeah, like there was maybe like maybe one instance in the second half or something when one guy had like a long shot from outside the box. Really good shot, tested Courtois, and the ball came back in again, but then Housing cleared it, right? But overall, Madrid were solid, you know, were fine, but they didn't have the threats. You know, they were probably, they're probably the worst team in my opinion that we played this season in La Liga or the Champions League. So they weren't really a threat in that way. But I thought Mbappe, his touches, his link-up play with his teammates was excellent. His finishing was good, but he also did miss some chances as well. Penalty, clinical as always. And I think there was a beautiful ball that he got from Vinicius Jr. where he really should have scored. Like, I think this was in the second half. But yeah, that he got from Vinicius Jr. and would have finished off a beautiful play. But yeah, after the first half, I thought, okay, we're 1-0 up. We're playing better than this team, and I honestly think they're physically like exhausted. I wasn't seeing Kairat running. I wasn't seeing that intensity towards the end of the half. And then going into the second half, it was actually more of the same from Madrid. Again, you know, the first 10 minutes really continuing from how we left it in the first half. And then Mbappe getting his goal, which was another beautiful goal again. So it just, we continued playing. And then eventually there's a lot more chances now. It was 2-0, and it was really like, okay, the only way this team is going to score is if we make a mistake from somewhere. Somebody loses the ball, or lapse of concentration, or something like that, right? At the same point, after scoring that second goal from Mbappe, I really wanted them to score like the next goal like soon, straight after, right? Because this would finish teams off. Like, this is one thing I think Madrid really needs to get better at, is finishing these sorts of teams off quickly, right? Because you see some teams like Man City, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Barcelona, when the team is just not there comparatively, they finish them off quickly. You know, whether it's the first 15 minutes, whether it's the first half, or close enough, you know, in the second half, they finish the game off. And then now this gives us a chance to rest some of our players, and then to also try out some new players, right? To give some players some chance, right? So so after Mbappe scoring the second goal, then yeah, we were creating some chances. I thought, Vinicius Jr., as I said in the beginning, besides the off the ball runs, was poor. Today, it seemed like they weren't really tasked in like pressing, and I think it's been interesting because I think the last maybe three games, including this one, and maybe even 4, we haven't been seeing Madrid as aggressive in their press as we had previously in the beginning of the season. What we're actually seeing now is more like, those quick counter pressing. So if we're in the final third and we lose the ball, we do see them like springing into some counter presses to win the ball back. And we have been successful in this game and previous game of doing that. But in terms of actually continual pressing. We haven't really been doing that the last couple of games, right? From what I've seen. But what was happening is that we would lose the ball, let's say in the final third, and then we'll go into our counter press. And if Kairat were able to get out, which in some cases, in many cases they got out, then what actually happened when we are running back, when we are transitioning into a defensive position, Vini, Mbappe, and Arda Guler were tasked to stay up front. They were tasked to stay there and wait to receive the ball once we win it, right? So this is something that we didn't do against Atletico Madrid. Maybe not really there yet to be able to leave 3 players up front and only defending with 7, but we would win the ball back, and then now when we win the ball back, it was quick play, passing into Mbappe, passing into to Guler, and then off to your runners, right? Massanto Ono had a different kind of role today from example what we've seen at the very beginning of the season from him. We saw him being very wild, but I feel like now Alonso is utilizing him precisely the way he wants him to, right? So we're seeing Massanto Ono doing a lot more of the helping out with the defense, doing some of the dirty work, and staying more on the right flank to offer us more width, right? And then Fran Garcia was offering us width on the left side. So we're defending with 7 and then able to bring the ball forward. There was only a few moments like in the first half and then also in the second half where we actually had to defend in a low block. When we did defend in a low block, it was a 4-3-1 as opposed to when we actually played against Atletico Madrid. When we were defending a low block, it was actually like a 5 at the back, and then you have like maybe 5-3-2. It was a 5-4-1 it was against Atletico Madrid. So seeing those like little tactical switches that Alonso is utilizing depending on the team and the opponents we're playing. And then eventually it was the 70th minute. I was also curious to see when and if he was going to make the change for the substitutions and who it would be, right? First substitutions wasn't Bellingham, so I found that kind of like a surprise because literally the game against Atletico Madrid, it seemed like we were building him up for that game. He played that game, he didn't play well, and then he didn't start this game, but you would think in the second half he would come on a little bit more earlier to be involved, but then he was in the second substitutions that came on, right? So we actually changed our wingers. We changed Vini and Massanto Ono came off, and then we put in Brahim and Rodrygo. So once again, I would have liked to see Rodrygo start. I really want to see him now getting a lot more chances because he came on, did 2 assists, and unfortunately, after coming on and playing so well, after having those 2 assists, he got a little bit too selfish. There was more opportunities for him to even get a hat-trick of assists today, but then he shot wide, he shot over the bar, and you could see the disappointment in some of the players that are playing with him. So with Vini playing as he's playing, I'm really now expecting some real competition from Rodrygo, right? If Rodrygo comes on, utilizes his time, scores, gives an assist, eventually, Alonso would have to listen, right? So he needs to come on and he needs to perform a lot better than he is, right? But he did a nice 1-2 with Mbappe. And I think as well in this game, we did see some nice 1-2s from Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, which, slowly, you can say there's improvements between the link-up play between those two. But then we saw a good link-up play from Mbappe passing to Rodrygo dribbling past, I think, 3-4 players, and then able to pass it on to Mbappe, and then he finished the shot. Kind of sliced it a little bit for that third goal, but it went in. And then it was 3-0, and I was like, okay, sweet, perfect, nice. The game is now and truly over. And then after 5 minutes after scoring the goal, the game is truly over. And then we got the next substitutions. So Bellingham coming on and Camavinga coming on. and Gonzalo Garcia coming on. So another surprise as well was that's also Camavinga. So yeah, because we've been seeing Bellingham and Camavinga getting more minutes these previous games. Against Atletico Madrid, Cebellos did not play the entire game, which I thought was a mistake. I thought he should have come on in the second half somewhere, for sure, before it all went haywire. But yeah, then Camavinga came on, so we had Camavinga and Cebellos in midfield. And then you had Bellingham as an attacking midfielder. I thought probably, yeah, this was a poor performance from Bellingham in this game. Maybe I was perceiving it wrong, but he looked tired. He had like one shot on goal, and when he was taking that shot, he looked exhausted. So I don't know, maybe the run he had done beforehand exhausted him, but seems a bit of a stretch. But interesting enough, there was also times when Bellingham got in the same positions that Arda Guler and Mbappe were getting in the first half, in that false nine kind of position centrally. And then he was able to turn, and then we now had our runners. So to the left, he had Rodrygo and Fran Garcia, and the ball was there. Like he passed it, but the quality wasn't there. He put too much power on it, right? So it was really interesting. There was two instances like that where he was in the same position that we had Mbappe and Guler in the first half. Bellingham was in those positions, and now the quality that he produced was off, right? So it was off. So now, yeah, I really like the game against Atletico Madrid. I think was a wake-up call to Alonso, to the team, and then also I think to us fans as well, to where like this Madrid team is. You know, we're just not there yet, and it might take the rest of this year to get there, or it might take the rest of the season, really, right, to get to where we want to get to compete against these big teams. But for example, what we have up front is that we have, it seems Alonso's now decided, on the left, the competition is Vinicius Jr. and Rodrygo. On the right is Mastantuono and Brahim. And this was before like the injuries from like Bellingham and this was before Bellingham and Camavinga came back into the fold. So that's going to change things a little bit. And then up front, you then have Mbappe, and then yeah, plan B, you have Gonzalo Garcia, and then plan C is Endrick, or we still have to see how he wants to play with Endrick. But now, we've kind of sorted out the imbalance we had last year in midfield, up front in attack, with now placing those roles for those players. Now it seems like we actually need to do the exact same thing in midfield, right? So let's just say we continue playing this 4-3-3, dynamic 4-3-3 that we're playing. Then we need to also now establish those roles in midfield. So now, okay, Tchouaméni, one of the standout players this season, played poorly against Atletico Madrid in this game. Played yeah, okay. You know, once again, like the threat from Kairat was not there really. So I think our defenders, in terms of the team defending, like we were fine. We just did what we had to do, right? So midfield, you have Tchouaméni. Because I think after the game against Atletico Madrid, I think people, I saw like a few comments here and there, and also a few discussions, and I think a lot of people now are saying like Tchouaméni and some people are saying Tchouaméni and Valverde is not going to work as a pivot, and maybe that's the case, guys. Maybe it's not going to work because yeah, it was a disaster against Atletico, and we haven't really seen it work, right? So if we have Tchouaméni as our holding midfielder, and then so it was before, it's been Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Guler, right? We now have Camavinga and Bellingham back in the fold. So now competition for places. You now put Guler in competition with Bellingham. So they are our attacking midfielders, right? If we're playing this 4-3-3, they are attacking midfielders. So now it is up to Bellingham. It is up to Bellingham to perform better when he's giving his chances than Guler, because right now our best players for this season has been Mbappe, Guler, and Tchouaméni, right? Those three have been the standout players right now. So Guler, through merit, needs to be one of the first names on the team sheet, right? And then now Bellingham, if he wants to get in this team, he needs to perform better than Guler when he gets his opportunity, right? And then now we have Tchouaméni and Valverde. Valverde has been poor, so I think, for example, in that position for Valverde, you now have the option of either Valverde, the option of Cebellos, or Camavinga, right? And then in the position for Tchouaméni, you now have Camavinga also vying for that spot as well, right? So there's there's enough competition in that midfield to now start to basically have roles, right? Because Bellingham over to the right, or changing formation 4-4-2, Arda Güler on the right, Bellingham on the left. Please, let's not see that again. Let's not see that again. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting now, like the upcoming game against Villarreal, what the lineup is going to be, right? So and then so then now so 3-0. Mbappe is off at this stage, and then Rodrygo working his magic, and then was able to give an assist. Camavinga got the fourth goal. Camavinga coming on, amazing run from deep that we've seen in these last appearances that he's had for Madrid, and then able to do a 1-2 with Rodrygo and score an amazing goal, right? So I think Camavinga and Cebellos, I think they're going to be really important players for us alongside Tchouaméni, and we now need to see Valverde, what's going to happen. He was benched, rightfully so, this game, and with now Carvajal out for, I think it's 4 weeks, I believe. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think maybe, I'm not too sure how long he has remaining to come back, but he's also out. So yeah, guys, I think maybe it's time for maybe Valverde to possibly cover again at the right back position, because even Asensio being there, I think I can kind of see why Ancelotti did not play Asensio in that right back position last season, because he doesn't, attacking wise, he's not going to offer what we need in that position, right? And defensively, I think he can do the job there, but I think he's also a little bit awkward in the right back position. I think he's more suited, center back position, right? So that. But yeah, anyway, Camavinga scoring a beautiful goal, and then now you had also who else got on the score sheet? Oh yeah, Brahim Diaz. So for those people that forgot about Brahim, yes, he is still a Real Madrid player, and he can still score goals, and he can still get past players. Thank goodness, right? So Brahim has really been one of the forgotten players this season, guys. And I don't necessarily think this goal changes anything. He has been so poor this season. So hopefully we can get the Brahim really that we need back, that we've seen previously, right, in the last couple of seasons. So hopefully this goal kickstarts something. But we'll see, right? And then also, I think the last thing I'd like to mention is Gonzalo Garcia. And we still haven't seen Endrick since he's come back from injury. And we've seen also very minimal of Gonzalo Garcia because of Mbappe, right? And because of us not finishing games off early, right? But with Mbappe, Vini, and Guler up front, we have no aerial threats whatsoever. And when I see sometimes, when Mbappe and Vini, the ball is in the air, and they're not even competing for it, it's a joke, right? And I think as well, Mbappe likes to drift to the left. He likes to drop deep or hold that central position. Sometimes floating to the right, sometimes running in the box, sometimes. But really, for example, against Atletico Madrid, what you saw was that towards the end in the second half, like we literally had no players in the box. So now you have whether it's Vinicius, whether it's this game it was Frank Garcia, or whether it's, for example, Asensio later on in the second half, where he did a great run and there's nobody and Mbappe is not in the box.